It's time for Tech Talk with Mathew Dickerson. I'm your host, Tony Graham. G'day, Matthew.
Good morning, Tony. You're looking particularly well this morning.
I know. I'm glad you noticed. You're very telepathic today.
Radio's a wonderful medium, isn't it?
It can be, can't it? Yeah. Now, it's rumoured that you're wearing an air conditioner inside your shirt, of all things.
Well, it is a bit chilly at the moment, actually, so this is exactly the sort of thing you need. And there are some different personal air conditioning units that are being created in different parts of the body. This one was created by Sony, and the specific target was the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. Let's launch our product anyway. And the unit itself is like probably a small mobile phone. And it's a little bit like when you see the cricket players or NRL players who wear the GPS unit just between their shoulder blades in their sports uniform. It's similar to that. It sits between your shoulder blades and it can actually heat your body from there, basically by being in touch with your skin, and it'll run for, say, 2 to 4 hours, depending whether it's heating or cooling. Again, I wouldn't say go outside in freezing conditions and wear t-shirt and shorts and just put this on and everything will be okay, but it can make a difference to the overall heat of the body just from this one unit in there. So a very clever way, I think, to heat or cool the body.
I wonder what else you're wearing under your shirt, Matthew. That's pretty tricky.
It is.
Now, noise-cancelling windows can have traffic sounds even when they're open. How does that work?
Well, people are generally familiar with noise-cancelling headphones, and obviously you put the cups over your ears, they listen out for noises that are there, and then put out a corresponding sine wave that's the opposite of the sound coming in to basically block that noise. So there's been some experimentation done around apartment blocks, different buildings that are near busy highways. People want to be able to open those windows sometimes. Maybe they want to breathe the CO2 in, I'm not sure, but they want some air coming into their particular apartment. But as soon as you open it, the noise level increases dramatically. And so some researchers have done something similar to noise-cancelling headphones, where they're mounting small speakers, about 4.5 centimetres diameter, so you can imagine fairly small. They're mounting those on a grid that's in front of the window. So the window's open, there's a grid sitting there, basically that lets air flow through, but you've got these small speakers mounted. And they're doing exactly the same thing as a noise-cancelling headphone does, which is listens out for noises that are there and then puts a corresponding sine wave out to block that noise effectively. It seems to work best around 300 to 1,000 hertz, and traffic noise is typically around 200 to 1,000 hertz. So it's not perfect for those really low frequencies, but it's pretty good in terms of the noise cancelling. So it can halve that traffic noise. And I can see that as populations, as cities become more and more populated, and as it becomes busier and noisier, I can see this sort of technology being used in a lot of apartment blocks, allowing people to have, I suppose, more flexibility about where they build things.
Well, you know, that could be really great around airports, for example.
Yeah, exactly right. People obviously build back away from airports for a range of reasons, but one of them is obviously the noise of those planes. So being able to have noise-cancelling windows, I think is fantastic. Again, I think it would only work on an apartment block. Obviously, you can't really have noise-cancelling backyard. I don't quite see how you get the technology there. Maybe someone will come up with that, but the idea is that a window is a controlled space that noise is coming in through, so they can actually control the sound in that particular part. But again, it only works over that smaller area.
Yeah, and you still want to hear the burglars trying to get in, don't you?
You do, and usually they have a higher pitch noise. When you catch them, they usually scream. So that's usually higher frequency than 1,000 hertz. And that's the good thing about this. It is focused around that traffic noise, so around that 200 to 1,000 hertz. So other noises, a bird chirping, for example, might be nicer than a burglar noise. But other noises, people speaking, for example, we speak louder than, higher frequency than 1,000 hertz. So it'll hear other noises still, but not that low ground or that sort of low rumble of traffic noise.
So it's designed to cut out the high frequency noise, is it?
No, low frequency. It's designed to cut out those low frequencies.
Low frequency.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I thought it might cut your voice out.
No, not at all. Not at all, Tony.
Now, Japan's newest bullet trains, they can keep running on battery power during a disaster. So that's a great little idea, isn't it?
They have, and these are the Shinkansen. I've been on a few of the trains, the Shinkansen trains over in Japan, and one actually amused me greatly when we were sitting there with the family and we're looking where to go that day, and we found this place that on a train was only about an hour away. We said, well, we might go over there and we'll have some lunch there and look around and then come back. And it was only really, I suppose, dawned on me when we jumped on the train that the place we're about to go to pop over to have lunch was about 350 kilometres away. But because the trains go at 322 kilometres an hour, it is only a bit over an hour. Duck back to where we were staying. So it actually opened up a huge amount of the geography of any location when you've got these trains. The problem with Japan, of course, is that you do have a few natural disasters that hit Japan sometimes. And the Shinkansen trains all rely on overhead power lines, and they rely on power being generated somewhere. So if you have one of those natural disasters, then obviously that can cut power, and you could be stuck in a tunnel, you could be stuck on a bridge, for example. And so then people are just sitting there and crossing their fingers and hoping that someone fixes up the power and everything's okay. But the new Shinkansen are the N700S, and they've got a whole range of creature comforts that have been upgraded in the train, because the old series were about 13 years old. So I was trying to do a bit of a makeover on them and upgrade a few things. But one of the things they've done is they've upgraded the battery technology on them. So if they do have a breakdown, a complete breakdown, a loss of power, they can still run. They won't run at their full speed. In fact, these ones are a bit faster. These ones go to 360 kilometres an hour. They won't run at 360 kilometres an hour, and they won't run for the full length of the trip that might have been there. The battery is designed as a backup, but you can still power that train, and if you're in a tunnel or on a bridge or somewhere that isn't a great place to stop, they can keep moving to, say, for example, a safer spot or even an actual station to stop at. So it's good use of modern battery technology, and good to see train technology, the very fast train concept, still rolling out across the world and improving across the world.
Yeah. Have you been on a Chinese bullet train as a matter of interest?
Yeah, I have been on one of those as well. They're a little bit faster.
How does that compare?
Yeah, look, similar. They're both fast. I mean, I can't quote you exactly what the Chinese ones go to. I have a feeling they get up around the 400 kilometre an hour mark, and they were faster than the Japanese ones, but they're both very fast. And it just reduces distances so much. I mean, imagine, for example, Wellington to Sydney with a very fast train. It's an hour trip. You can commute down to Sydney and do a job down in Sydney for a day and then commute back to Wellington. So it does open up geography so much. But again, I suppose it relies on higher population densities than we've got here in Australia.
That's for sure. And I can imagine how that's actually quicker than flying by the time you have to muck about going to an airport and then finding something to get you from the airport. It's
well, for sure,
it would be a dream.
It has been proven around the world for shorter distances, and I'm talking about hundreds of kilometres, not thousands of kilometres, then a very fast train is faster, because you can turn up from the passenger point of view, you can turn up, 5 minutes before the train goes, and you get on the train. And if you look at the Shinkansen in Japan, drivers there almost get to the point where they resign if they turn up to a station 2 minutes late. So they're so focused on...
So they should.
So they should, that's right. So they're very focused on being punctual. So you can turn up 5 minutes before that train goes. You get on the train, no waiting around, going through customs, turning up half an hour before, all those things with the flight, and you get to the other end, and you're typically closer to where you want to be. So the train stations are typically closer to the centre of a city rather than way out. You account the commute time from the city or your home out to the airport, waiting around at the airport, then getting on the plane. The plane trip part is quicker, but the overall journey door to door is often quicker on a train, again, over those shorter distances. But a classic one, Tony, is Sydney to Melbourne. It's talked about typically as being the second or third busiest route in the world for flights. Now, again, I'm going back pre-COVID here. So you've got that flight there, Melbourne to Sydney, second or third busiest in the world. What a perfect example of a time that you could put a very fast train, and I think that would be very effective. And I think the time frame to catch that train from A to B would be very similar to flying, again, taking into account all those other components we've mentioned.
It would be. And you've been listening to Tech Talk with Mathew Dickerson on Binjang 91.5. I'm your host, Tony Graham. Stay tuned this afternoon at 3:40 p.m. for the next edition. And it's back to the great music.
Thanks, Tony.